She was born in Shreveport, Louisiana, but grew up in West Monroe. Very proud to have been raised in the Whites Ferry Road Church of Christ. She knew all the Duck Dynasty crew, went to Whites Ferry Road with them. She was on a singing group, Alton Howard Singers. They sang at weddings and funerals. Kay and Phil from Duck Dynasty. The daughter-in-law, Missy, and Corey were my sister's ages, and my dad would babysit the three of them while my mom sang. She had 3 brothers. Her mother was a beautician. Her father owned his own tile company. She was a cheerleader at one point. The stop sign at the end of her street is still crooked from where her brother taught her how to drive. Daddy was from New Orleans, and my mom, over spring break, was going with a group of friends down to New Orleans, but I guess the group she was going with, there were a bunch of football players, and she didn't want to be the only girl. A mutual friend said, "Hey, I know this guy who's heading down there. You can probably get a ride with him." And so they rode down together, and that's how they met. And I've heard, but nobody will confirm, that on the way back, they got stuck at a railroad crossing, and she leaned over and kissed him first. He went to school of preaching, graduated from seminary school there at Whites Ferry Road. You know, there was no Errol without Suzanne and no Suzanne without Errol. I think the one thing that stands out the most is that I just remember the love that they shared all the time. She would constantly sit in his lap. She was constantly kissing him, and vice versa. Growing up as a teenager and your dad is slapping her on the booty or whatever, you're like, do you mind? And vice versa with her, sitting in his lap in front of all of our friends, like, no. And they truly had 50 amazing years. Mother grew up banking her whole life. When we would go to visit her, she was in new accounts, and so she always had a little bowl of suckers on the edge of her desk, and so we always wanted to go visit Mom so we could get a couple of the suckers. She retired as a manager of one of the branches at Moody National Bank. She would record all of the daytime soap operas, and so we would always watch the daytime soap operas together, like in the evening when she got home from work. But if I wanted to watch something and then she wanted to watch something, there were times we would literally physically wrestle over the remote control. I can remember this one time during one of our wrestling matches, she kicked out one of his speakers. She was that kind of mom. Daddy was definitely more the disciplinarian than my mom. She would always take his side. Like, they were definitely a team. I can remember also, like, going to church on Sunday mornings, or anytime we were at church and we would sit together as a family. Daddy had a rule that we were not allowed to sit between the two of them. I asked him later on, after I had kids, like, why was that a rule? Not only did he want to sit by her, but it was to kind of show us, this is who comes first in my life, and then the girls. We had Tuesday night family night, so it was like we would play cards or board games or just watch a movie together. And then on Thursday nights, we would have Bible study. So it was like Tuesdays and Thursdays were kind of purposeful times for us to spend time together. We used to go to Florida every year to the beach, and Daddy would take me and Marcy out in the waves, and, you know, Mom always kind of sat on the beach, or maybe right in the very, you know, like where she could sit and get wet, but not like really fight the waves. I just remember growing up, there was always a lot of laughter in our house, and it was typically at Mother's expense. Bless her heart. For weeks after her service, I got so many phone calls and text messages and cards with notes in them that told the stories of, you know, your mom would call me and she'd just pray for me, or your mom would call me, text me, and let me know she was thinking about me. I think I just thought she played on her phone all day, but she wasn't. Like, she was doing the work of the Lord. I think everyone who knew her knew they were loved. If you were loved by Mama,
You felt it and you knew it. She knew how to love.
Christian to the core, loving, caring, never wanted the spotlight. She did everything kind of behind the scenes, not for attention. She had a laugh that was infectious. Always thought she was so glamorous. Even in the end, strong. I can't even imagine so strong. She was so proud of all of us, but my daddy. Oh, she loved being married to my daddy. She was our #1 fan, my best friend. It taught me so much about how to treat people